Welcome back to another episode of the Chats with Clark podcast. I'm your host, Joe Clark, and here at Chats with Clark, we don't do poppy intros. We get straight to the point. And the point of today's episode 39 of the pod, is Zach Vago. Zach, thanks for being here. How are you today? I'm so excited to chat with you.
Thank you, Joe. Love to be here. Appreciate it. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great too. Yeah, I'm honored because I think you have a really incredible story that you are going to share with us, and all of our listeners, buckle up because you are in for a treat. Zach, you transparently have had one of the most drastic, influential, I would say, and really inspirational fitness, overall health, weight loss journeys. Dive us in a little bit. Give me your background, and then let's get right to it.
Okay, yeah. So growing up, here's the backstory of my weight loss transformation. 2021, I lost 170 pounds in under 11 months. That's the initial weight loss story. Growing up, I
That's
was
incredible.
always the fat athletic kid. You know, I was playing, you name any sport, I was playing at soccer, baseball, football, basketball. I was doing it all. I was doing travel stuff. I was that kid. Um, but to a certain degree, you know, when you get up to middle school, it just catches up with you. And I couldn't keep up with all the sports. I was eating way too much. You start developing these eating habits at a young age. My parents worked both so much, so they weren't around that long. So it was just, hey, here's some fast food, here's some garbage to eat. That's kind of what we did. They drop us off at the rec to play basketball all day after school. And you know, whether or not I actually sit there and play basketball, which I wasn't, is one of the reasons why I was getting so overweight. I just go sit there and watch my brother play and pretend that I here's a little story for you. I've only told this to a few people. When they would do that, when our dad would do that, I would go to the sink and actually put water on myself. I'm embarrassed to even admit that, but that's what I was doing. Like, it's a mental illness, and me and Joe talked about this briefly. But being overweight, it's a mental illness. It is a bad mental health spot for individuals to be in. That's what I was doing. I was sprinkling water on myself to pretend that I was sweating.
Wow.
And my dad confronted me one time and he said, "Dude, I know that that's not real sweat." And I mean, we played it off like it didn't happen. But
That's
yeah,
amazing. What a story. Yeah, to be in a situation where you would rather live a facade than do the alternative is that tells, right? Like mentally something is askew or mentally you're in a difficult spot.
for sure. Even at a young age, like that's how early it
Right.
starts.
Yeah, so how old are you at this point? Like roughly.
Right now I'm 22. Oh,
No,
okay.
no, no,
So
no. I'm
yeah,
sorry. The
yeah,
story.
yeah, yeah. Probably 12,
Okay.
elementary school, and I was already playing basketball. So this was probably when I was playing travel, early on in travel. So I was already like a basketball guy. I loved playing basketball. It's just
Mhm.
I wasn't going to be able to sit there and play for 4 hours. Like I'll give you an hour or 2 hours, but you're not going to get a full 4 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I get that. All right.
Um,
So a little bit. So you're growing up, you're playing basketball, you're sprinkling water on yourself, struggling, eating all this garbage.
yep. I was given the ultimatum. Probably I was always told growing up, like, hey, Zach, you're gonna have to start wearing a bra, keep gaining weight. That's where I was. I was wearing, I think I was probably 210. And dude, if I had to say sixth grade, I was wearing 2X, fifth, sixth grade. It was horrible. Like it was sad.
Wow. Yeah.
Um, I was being told by my mom, hey, Zach, you're gonna have to wear a bra if you keep going down this route.
Yeah.
Just a disclaimer, I never wore a bra in my life, but did I need to? Maybe. Maybe.
You could rock it, Zach. You could pull it off. Don't worry.
My man bikini with a bra.
Absolutely. Why not?
So, and I was then given another ultimatum. Hey, Zach, like if you're going to be this overweight, how about you go play football and be a lineman? How about you use your weight as a strength, right? Instead of a weakness. It's too much of a little wimp to do that. So I started throwing shot and disc in track, middle school and high school. I did that up until about sophomore, junior year. With that, I needed to start losing weight. And I tried probably one or two times in high school to lose weight. Was never successful. Got to school I went to Kent State for a BBA, and I think I jumped up to about 350. I was probably 350 at about
Oh
19 years old. It was horrible.
my God, Zach. Yeah, that's a lot.
It was, I mean, walking to school, anyone knows that has lived on any campus, you're walking a mile to one building. You're walking multiple miles every day.
Hmm.
I was red faced. I was sweating. I looked horrible. I was probably purple faced. The business building at Kent, I was a mile away from it. So, I mean, I was huffing and puffing. It was embarrassing. It was like, it couldn't be worse of an experience for me, but it wasn't enough for me to want to break my eating habits.
Yeah, it's wild to hear you describe it now, right? Like after the fact, obviously, because I mean, honestly, it's sad. Like it sounds like a sad story. Like my heart goes out to the former you, right? Like Kent State you that was huffing and puffing purple in the face and sweating by the time you got to class because like yeah you can empathize with that, you can go there and recognize that that would be an embarrassing moment, that would be hard on you, emotionally, of course physically, and just all the way around for your well-being. So that's tough.
But that shows how bad of a mental illness it is that I could go through that
Hmm.
every day, hate myself, lose sleep. By the way, here's another story. I had such bad sleep apnea that when I got tested, the doctor told me on a scale of 1 to 10, I was 10, like
Oh my god.
severely. Yeah, like I was pretty much not sleeping more than I was sleeping. So to feel like that as well, every day, all day, just lack of oxygen, lack of everything, it still wasn't enough for me to want to make that swap and actually start battling food, fitness, my weight, things like that.
Hmm.
Here's another story for you. So
Yeah.
before going to Kent, I I roomed with one of my best friends, Sam, and this is a story I've never told anyone. This is something deep.
Hey, we appreciate it, man.
Goes back to the mental illness thing. It
Yeah.
when you're that big, you start to you create a false sense of reality. It's like being addicted to any type of drug. It's something that you don't perceive as real. When you look at yourself, you don't look that big and you don't feel like it's a problem that you're in. So me and my roommate, best friend Sam, lifelong best buddy, we were talking before we went to Kent, just like, hey, what's the future look like for both of us? Like, what do you want to do? Where do you see yourself in a few years? Because we were talking degrees and stuff like that. And I told him straight up, like, he asked me, what do you plan on doing in terms of your health in a few years? And I said, Sam, straight up, I have accepted the fact that I am probably going to die of a heart attack by 25.
Good God.
Isn't that crazy to hear? I was probably 17, 18 years old saying, probably
Wow.
17.
Yeah. What a dark spot, Zach.
Yeah, it wasn't like I wanted to die. It wasn't like I am pursuing death. It's just I have accepted it. Like it's here and I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy the ride.
Yeah. Yeah. Live out these last couple of years and see where it goes.
Yeah.
Whoa. How do you respond to that?
I, since we were so young, there wasn't a lot of encouragement, I don't think. Not that I can remember too well, but I think it was just like a um,
Mhm.
oh wow type of moment. I don't think he really had like encouraging, hey, let's fix that type of mentality. Which, kind of, and not to put Sam down if he ever sees this or any of my friends from back in the day, but when we're all so young like that, we don't think about encouraging one another like that. And I think we miss
Mhm.
that as a generation. It's not something you develop until you start reaching your 20s, your early mid 20s, that you start saying, "Oh, hey, bro, I think we need to fix this bad habit in life. I think we need to reevaluate what you're doing here."
You're young, the self-awareness isn't there, let alone to have the wherewithal to say, to recognize it in someone else and to maybe analyze it and relay a message of encouragement in a way that is constructive and also accurate. Because a lot of times we can't even see it within ourselves, again, let alone within other people in a way to make it constructive. Like we can critique everybody all day long, right? Because people are
Yeah.
really good at that, but heaven forbid we got to say it in a way that's actually beneficial. Man, Zach, dude, I can't even. That's crazy. So 17, you accept that like I'm really unhealthy. Like you know that to the point where if you got a fatal diagnosis or were gearing up that way, then you wouldn't have been surprised. That's nuts.
Crazy.
It was crazy. And so then you do get to college and you are at Kent and you're carrying on this lifestyle. What moment do you decide, you know what, okay, I'm not going to be the one that's not here at 25. It's going to be the weight that's not here at 25.
Great question. So it all started with, I think it was, so for me, I graduated from Kent in 2 years because I went in as like a junior. So for me, it was my second year of school, which was COVID. So I was a senior, but it was my second year of school.
Got
And
it.
it was all online. This was literally the first year of COVID. Second semester of school, actually, wasn't even second year. So something
And
that
not to
always,
interrupt you, but let's just
yeah,
make a note on that real quick. How about the fact that you mentally were strong and capable enough to be able to be coming in as a junior? So, like, amidst all this craziness and all this turmoil that's going on physically and mentally, on the other side of your brain, not literally, and for all you science people, I don't know what side of their brain does what, but you know what I mean? In the other way, your brain is letting you thrive in a school setting. That blows my mind.
yeah. So school, let me touch on that. So I was always, multiple grades ahead. I was that geek kid. I believe that when you're in school, school is like your job. You need to focus up on it. And it goes back to having kind of like an addiction type personality. I want to be the best at whatever my job or role is in life. And that was school, that was track, that was, maybe video games at the time, definitely video games. I want to be the best. I want to be successful in whatever I did. But apparently I didn't prioritize my health.
Yeah. Even at the expense of your health. Sounds
Exactly.
like, yeah. Wow. Because that I just like, I had to address that. And for anyone that might have just like glossed over that, like, no, like, this is a man who is struggling completely, but also thriving in the school sense. That's an absolutely fascinating dichotomy.
I don't even think about that. That's how humble. I don't even think about the whole 2 year degree thing, being grades ahead. I don't even think of it like that. I just glance over that in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is again, yeah, it is humility. I mean, that's awesome for you to, and it's your expectation of yourself. So you achieve it, and you're like, well, of course, like I'm not gonna not achieve it. Like I want to go and do it. But so continue. I'm sorry. So
Yeah.
you're in this all online class, this COVID world, which was also tough, and a different adjustment for everybody. So
Yeah. So something that always stuck with me was the first time that I tried losing weight with my brother. He sat me down and started asking me questions like, why do you want to do this in the first place? And you start thinking, I'm a loser. I'm never going to have a wife, never going to have kids, never going to have grandkids. If I do have kids or grandkids, they're not going to have me around. And to be vulnerable in that position and actually list those things out for my brother that lived with me forever, you always think about that type of thing. So during the second semester of my first college year, when I was home, I got down to just thinking about this. Meanwhile, I was juggling a full-time IT internship and a 21-hour credit semester, right? I'm pretty much working a
wow.
full-time life. And when you just start thinking about stuff like that, about the future, you have a come to God moment. And something came over me. I want to I want to say it was like a Holy Spirit type of vibe, but something came
Yeah.
over me that it was like, I want to walk the graduation stage as a different version of Zach Vago. And obviously, every attempt that I've tried to lose weight, it didn't work. So this originally, I just would have thought was another, a dream moment. Like I'm never going to be able to do it because I haven't been able to pass type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I started doing the dieting. I didn't start working out for a while. So to start off, trials and tribulations, right? You gotta see what works for you. You start getting addicted to the scale. I was weighing myself daily. First, it starts off with a calorie deficit, and then you just keep going down into a calorie deficit because you don't know anything about the science behind your body. And then you start testing how long can I go without eating, right? This is it's the worst down bad someone can be, especially when they're overweight, because when you're overweight, your metabolism is so fast. Like Joe, you're an athletic dude. Did you know the bigger you are, the better your metabolism is?
No, I didn't know that at all.
Well, there you go. There's a fun fact for you. So this is why starving yourself when you're overweight is so different than you or I starving ourselves, because our metabolism doesn't burn as much weight. I'm 180 pounds right now. My body burns 1,800 calories roughly to survive. If I was 350, my body's burning 3,500 calories to survive. So now a
Wow.
350 pound person, which I was, I'm now starving myself. I tried that. I tried seeing, let me lower the calories, let me lower the calories, let me lower the calories. Now I'm just going to see how long I can live with fasting. And I put myself in the ER, got vitamin deficiencies. Your body just stops working. I start preaching nutrient deficiencies because I firsthand saw that when you're not eating enough for your body will not lose weight. It doesn't matter if it's calories in, calories out garbage. If you are literally starving your body, it will just stop burning anything. And
Wow.
that's where I was. And I literally went to the ER and had a come to Jesus moment. I was home alone and I passed out a few times. And the first time that I passed out, I was probably this close from hitting my head against our brick fireplace, my head against the brick fireplace.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
have a scar on my rear delt from hitting that. I woke up like seizing. It was horrible. It was the scariest moment of my life. I was like, I have to do this right. I have to really figure out how to do this properly.
Yeah. Man, you've had some scary moments, Zach. I mean, really, you've had
Yeah, so
some
here's the
crazy.
mindset switch. It went from I was accepting to death at such a young age to I would rather
Mhm.
than be dead than be fat.
Wow. I mean, it's a total 180. It's the exact opposite.
Exactly. Exactly. So let me talk about the ER trip now. Now it's
Yeah.
okay. This male is starving himself. What the doctor told me was go on YouTube and watch these videos of these gym girls and how they eat. And I mean, I don't like to blast uh doctors, pharmaceutical people who have been, studied 12 years at school and whatnot, but when you tell an obvious obese person with a eating disorder who's willing to die to starve themselves to weight to go watch a gym girl who claims to eat 4,000 calories when they're 110 pounds and they're faking the video and telling them to watch that for nutrition advice, that just shows how corrupt and how bad the nutrition industry is. Like I
Hmm.
don't hate all nutritionists, but to be told to go watch a yoga girl's YouTube video on nutrition, I don't know, mind blowing.
Yeah, dude, you're not even in that ballpark. I mean,
Exactly.
you were nowhere even near that. Like that was the biggest leap you could imagine.
Not even like a hey, try this, try that. Literally a list. I have a picture of it. It was a sticky notepad of just usernames at blank at blank at blank at blank.
Oh
Horrible.
my gosh, that is horrible. That's like I don't know. That's demoralizing.
Very bad.
Yeah, very bad. And so you're leaving this doc, and then he gives you this list. Where do you go from here?
I don't look at any of the people that she sent me. I mean, I looked them up to see what they were about, but like once
Yeah,
I
yeah,
realized what was going on, I didn't, I didn't do any of that. But what I did after that was I said, okay, let me work out. Let me do this proper because you can
yeah.
diet to lose weight up until a certain point, which I was at. That's why I started starving myself because I hit that max capability that you can do with diet.
Got it.
I hit up one of my best friends down the street, Lucas. Shout out Lucas, who got me in the gym, put me on a weight training routine, and then I just kind of started dieting myself, and incredible results kind of led me on the path of being able to train. And then as I studied more on bodybuilding, on powerlifting, on how things should be done, I kind of made my own routine. But that's what I needed. I needed that friend to help me get in, feel less intimidated, and show me just the ropes. Now I could take it from there.
Yeah, shout out Lucas for sure. Is he? So he physically go with you to the gym?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, what a comrade there.
Yeah, he was a buff dude himself, and his dad's kind of a buff guy, so he was kind of known. as like the gym dude. In his basement, he actually
Okay.
has it decked out, probably, I
That's
don't
sick.
know, multi-grand, $1,000 equipment. He's got some crazy stuff. But yeah, he didn't need to, obviously, but as a good friend, he went out of his way. He's multiple years younger, by the way. So, I mean, I think he's 3 years younger than me, maybe. That's
Okay.
even more of like he was a little brother to me, but he was playing the big brother role. He was really helping me dig myself out of that trench.
That's the role of brotherhood right there.
Exactly.
And I'm sure we'll touch on you and your brother a little bit more in a second, but that's the role of it, right? It's just this mutual respect and this mutual desire for greatness for both parties. And that's what's cool about it.
Right.
Wow. So okay, so when you learn how to do it yourself, do you mean specifically trial and error? Is that kind of your methodology, or was it like, yeah, I guess it's all trial and error? Because I'm curious if it's a whole overhaul, as in you're trying all these pieces at once. You're trying lifting on your own, you're trying nutritioning on your own, and your diet, and all of it lumped into one, or was it kind of like, okay, now when Lucas is involved, I'm working on the fitness, then I'm going to add on the diet, then I'll add on. How did you go about that part?
I was kind of doing it all at once. So
Okay,
since I knew the training was probably already valid because it was Lucas's plan, and
yeah,
it was a basic push pull leg split. So I mean, I know like I'm hitting the main muscle group, so I didn't really have to think about whether or not my training was, dialed in. But what I did was, which I got made fun of for a lot. It was YouTube research. Like I was seeing what does this type of diet do for you? How does this affect your body? How does carbs, fat, sugar, protein, I needed to learn how everything affected my body. And that's where the geek
hmm
comes in, being so school driven. I was able to say, okay, I need all this information. I'm going to take all this that I know, all the studies that I've researched, and dial it into what is the most beneficial to help me. And yeah, I did trial and error through that process, but that was kind of my main methodology. See what worked for other people and kind of sum it up into something that might work for me.
that's brilliant. And you started seeing results quickly, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Wow.
I think I lost in the first, so obviously it was only an 11-month time frame. And the time when I was starving myself, I didn't really lose any weight, so that's kind of just a dud. But I'd say in the first 6 months, I lost, probably went down to 230 the first
Whoa.
6 months, down from 350. So I mean that's 120 pounds, 6 months.
Whoa. 20 a month. You're losing a pound almost every day. You're losing what, three-fourths a pound every day. That's
Yeah. And people don't promote like that's possible. But and this is where I don't believe the normal things people tell you, because when you're so overweight, your body has so much fat that you can burn. You don't need only pounds a week. That's for a normal, healthy individual. And
yeah, yeah,
this skinny fat stuff that's coming along, and
yeah.
that's where a lot of people go wrong. Like strength training, sure, is pretty basic, but you need a specific phasing routine from bodybuilding specifically. Like there's different training techniques, and this is another thing. Like I could talk about this for hours. Either bodybuild or you can power lift. You can't do both. You want to look good or do you want to perform good? I look like the biggest dude in the gym, but I don't lift like the biggest dude in the gym. That's the trade-off. Pick one or the other. You need a good phasing sequence of bodybuilding hypertrophy type of training to be able to lose that much weight and not lose all that muscle mass frame. Because fortunately, yes, I lived obese for 20 years, but um, I had a good muscle frame out of it. And
Mhm.
this is one of the sad things that I actually hear a lot, Joe. It's I've been told that I should be thankful and glad that I lived obese for that long because of the muscle foundation that I've built.
Could you have built it without being that way?
Exactly. That's the big question. And a lot of these skinny dudes, and I don't mean skinny in like a bad way, I just mean like light type of dudes with little small frames. That's kind of what they go to. They go to the, oh, you're blessed for being so big. And I don't know. There's a lot of it's the younger people. The younger people don't kind of understand. They don't
Yeah.
um the way I put it is whether someone is super skinny or someone's super big, I don't think you should compliment them on how they look because that might not be their goals. Like coming up to a former fat kid, someone like me, and saying, "Wow, you look so big. Like you look bear mode right now." Like I'm not trying to look bear mode. I don't want to be big. Or that's telling the
No.
skinny kid, "Wow, you look so shredded." It's like he's not trying to be shredded. He can't put on weight and he's trying to look jacked for the last 3 years. It's a lack of people being able to empathize with, another person.
Hmm.
But yeah, I've had people legitimately tell me like, "Hey," which here's the thing. I don't know if my physique is obtainable for someone who has a small foundation, but a solid, really good looking bodybuilding physique is obtainable. So maybe not
Yeah,
mine is
everyone's got a
obtainable.
different
Yeah, exactly.
end zone. Yeah.
But yeah, people's respect there. It's crazy that people can't overlook the fact someone had to live so overweight and that there's mental consequences with that as like a cool thing because now you have muscle.
Dude,
It's
yeah, right. It's so God, that's so primitive. Because to me, I can't help but imagine like you probably, without like getting too personal for you, but you're probably still dealing with the healing and grief of it, right? Like, I mean, it's a major loss in a way because you're coming out of something that was wreckage in your life. And yeah, you're looking back at it in the rear view, but it doesn't mean it didn't happen to you. I mean, my God, it was the same heart and head and blood that's in you now that went through all that.
exactly. And here's something also funny that kind of happened throughout the weight loss journey. For the
Hmm.
first few months, and probably even I'd say now, not as frequently, dude, I would dream of food every night for a few months. Food.
Wow. Yeah.
That's how bad it
God, the
was.
brain's so powerful, dude.
It's crazy.
It's so I just like I'm dumbfounded by this whole thing. So you're losing all this weight and you're still like when did you realize, you know what, I can get there and you know what, I can get to the point where I'm stopping dreaming about food and all these crazy, I mean, these are crazy things to be hearing, honest.
So let me think about that for a second. I don't, so here's the thing about me. I preach a lot of what I myself don't do. I don't take a lot of rest in the gym. I don't take pictures of myself in the gym. Um, and that's, I think, what contributed to me not realizing that I can do this. I didn't take
Okay.
pictures of myself. So I never was looking at myself. I always just thought, I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm not successful, I'm not successful. Because my mindset was, I know where I want to be, I'm not there yet. So I didn't have the I can do this mentality. It's the I haven't done this, I need to keep going. And I think that's where everyone
Got it.
fails. How do you think about that mindset?
No, I think it's great. The first thing that popped into my mind was like the job's not the job, whatever Kobe said, like job
Kobe
ain't done.
Bryant, baby.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think Kobe is one of those guys who I reference Kobe a lot. I listen to a lot of his stuff. I think he, as a person, had an incredible mindset that was light years ahead of a lot of individuals. That dude transcended even greatness with the way that he pursued things and his work ethic and the discipline that he had, because there was no one more disciplined probably ever in the name of the game. And so to be an all-time great at the least, like he is a Mount Rushmore of mentalities to me. And that's the first thing that pops in my mind when you say that, because, you know, job ain't finished. So like you're saying that too. It's like, well, all right, great. Like, sure, I can get there, but I'm not there yet. So I'm not even focusing on that I can get there. Kobe knew that he could get there. The guy's great. He'd done it before. You know what I mean? He knew he could get there too, but he was always like, job's not finished. Like, I'm keeping working. I'll be there at 4 a.m. tomorrow. I'll practice after you're done practicing and all that.
And so I hate to say this, but he kind of showed that you don't need sleep to be able to succeed at something. You can spend more time in the gym, more time on the court than you do sleeping. And that's what I developed too. I was working out for longer than I was sleeping. And I never preached this. I would never tell a client this, but that's what I was doing because that's where my mindset was.
So have you dialed that back now? Can we give you that little nod? Can you be like, all right, I sleep more now? Or can you honestly not say that even?
I'm gonna say no, but it's more out of
Okay,
a mental clarity aspect rather than body image.
got it.
The
So
gym's
you're more focused.
I was gonna say the gym's more of like a safe spot for me. It's where I can go and just kind of calm my mind.
That's fascinating. It's probably a place that you had originally hated too. So it's crazy,
100%.
crazy different. Who throughout this journey were some of like your big influences? Maybe like Lucas sounds like one of them, of course. And I think back to the doctor that you mentioned in a different way. Um, because oftentimes when we think of influences, we think of people who motivate us, right? Like for positive. But I think that also there are influences on our journeys of people where not out of spite, but out of a like, this is how I'm viewed, or this is where you think I am. Like that doctor was, to give the doctor credit, not that she apparently deserves it, really, but like she was obviously trying to be helpful. Like she wasn't not trying to be helpful. It was just that her advice was freaking garbage. So, so on the premise that we assume that she was helpful, I think these people are influential in different ways. Are there people in your life outside of those two who were major influences in your journey, whether you know them or whether they're Chris, whatever that guy's name is, Chris Bumstead?
Chris Bumstead, I love it. So yeah, and I think so in terms of training, I worked out with my brother's best friends a lot, and they taught me the lion, the dog mindset. Ever say you can't. Iron sharpens iron. Proverbs. Um, when it comes to training, when it comes to anything in life, you need the aspect of you never think you can't or say you can't. So here's a big story that one of his buddies that I worked out with, Colin Marvin, I love the guy to death.
That's awesome.
I was crying on the pull-up bar one time, like I can't do any more pull-ups. Of which, just remember, I was that 350-pound kid in elementary school that when I got called up in gym class to do the yearly, PT training, I never did a pull-up. I sat there on the bar and held myself, felt like my biceps were gonna break. And now I'm repping pull-ups now, and he's helping, spot me. And I'm saying I can't. He said, Zach, come down. I come down, I look at him, I'm huffing and puffing. I'm like, my body's hurting, I'm aching. And he said, Zach, if you ever say you can't one more time, you will never see me again in the gym.
Wow.
And this is my big brother. Like this is my idol that's talking to me like that in the gym. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, wow, like this is serious. I need to bring a different attitude.
Yeah.
And these kids are probably 20, 26, 25 when I'm 20, 21. So they have that big brother mindset, and they're like, "Hey Zach, come over here. You're gonna do a few more reps. You're gonna go up and weight, and I got you. I'll spot you." And that I've developed that. So now I'm calling other young kids like, "Hey, yo, let's go up and weight. Let's try a few more extra reps." Things like that. But yeah, influences. You're gonna have different influences. I had different influences, whether it was training, nutrition, life. I give a lot of credit to the haters in my life, actually. I don't like giving them credit, in normal life. But when I am down and I feel like a loser, like I can't push myself anymore, I think, what would X person think about me if I give up? He would be laughing at me right now. She would be laughing at me right now.
Yeah.
And I don't like giving your haters energy or, any attention. But you got to think about how would people think about you right now in your weakest moment? Would people laugh at you? Would people clap that you are failing? And I think haters in my life have kind of been one of the biggest.
It's that classic idea of the best revenge being you proving yourself. Like it's you proving them wrong without even having to say a word.
Exactly.
I totally agree with you. I just like, and you're entering a social world, right? You're getting going, which we're going to have to touch on because you're the weight loss professor alter ego is cream of the crop. So again, everyone, Zach Vago, the weight loss professor, but we're going to touch on that in 1 second once I finish my last relevant thought, which is that when you start putting yourself out there, you get that flack, right? And anytime you're trying to do something to change either you or the world around you for the better, you're going to get flack because it's uncomfortable for people. And they're like, I don't know how to deal with it. So people look at you and they're like, oh, in my world, you are the fat kid. So if you start changing from the fat kid, that means I have to address you differently. And it's not that you being the fat kid's not the problem. It's their response to it. And they can't handle that. And so people start ripping on you for trying to make it better. And that's what's crazy. That makes no sense.
And you need to be able to juggle that without an ego. Like you shouldn't need to flaunt whatever you're winning or achieving at. You need to do it humbly, work in the shadows, and come out in public here and there. And just your presence is enough to flaunt what is changed ever go out of your way to egotistically brag about something that you achieve.
Amen, man. Amen. To give you a quick story too. So Zach's dad and I go way back too, and your dad's an awesome guy. I don't need to tell you that. And he was asking me, he's like, "Hey, you seen Zach lately?" And I'm like, "No, like why?" And this is a couple years ago, and he's like, "Man, he's looking great. He's working hard." And I'm like, "Really?" And so he had shown me a picture. I'm like, "Dude," I'm like, "He looks freaking awesome, you know, like he's killing it." And just you again, as you support that journey, it's like, man, he's going for it, you know, and that's incredible. But to your point of you don't flaunt it, you don't put it out there, you don't want to be gaudy with it. I think that that's the best, the best way to be, but also the best way for us as people to actually show that we're authentic, to really be authentic. Because if you get caught up in the responses and the reactionary of other people, like, oh, I'm going to put this out there, and then you start questioning, you're like, wait, why didn't they respond this way? You're so worried about the wrong motives that you lose track of why you're even on the journey to begin with.
I love that self-validation. You got to be seeking your own happiness, your own achievement, personal stuff like that.
100%, 100%. And with that, Zach, I got to turn it back to you, because how did you come up with your alter ego? You're in the middle of this. You are starting your business as the weight loss professor. I got to hear about it.
So, I'm thinking to myself, I am an expert in the weight loss realm, right? So I'm thinking, what else
Yeah.
can I do? Weight loss blank, the weight loss blank, the weight loss academy, the weight loss specialist, what's eye appealing? And I think, okay, well, there's a nutrition approach, there is a training approach. Although we have talked about training is kind of basic, it's not when you're trying to do something as magnificent as building a dream physique. Because I could put layers on whatever, like I could hypertrophy training, high German volume training, like I could teach you so much incredible stuff about the gym that you would have never guessed. So that's where the professor came into place. It's now I need to teach you why you are eating more protein than carbs, why you don't need fats, why you don't need saturated fats, why sugar is killing your mindset. I'm going to teach the client or anyone in general, even if it's free content. I just want to help people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I want to be able to teach them what and why they need to be doing something to achieve the results that they seek.
That's awesome. You're doing like the master's course. You're like, forget the high school GED. Like I'm coming in here. We're like, let's give you a bachelor's, and then on top of it, we're going to give you a master's, because you're the professor. You're going to dive deep. Like that's what college is supposedly about, is that you're going to dive deep into a topic and really exfoliate all the truths about it.
Exactly. And that's kind of one of the things that we're seeing nowadays in life, where you don't need a college degree for said field. I'm a business major. I was in IT. I didn't study science, but I can tell you what everything does going on within your body compared to my brother who went to school for nutrition.
Mm-hmm,
It's
mm-hmm.
it's like these young social media marketing people, these kids, they didn't go to school for social media stuff. They grew up with it. That's why
Right.
they're so good at it. Like you don't need a college degree to be extremely advanced in anything nowadays. It is absolutely crazy.
No, yeah, the resources are at your fingertips, which is what you're putting out there now. So, Zach, as the weight loss professor, which again, one last time, freaking awesome name. What are you doing? Who are you? What are you in the fitness world? What's your role, and where do you want it to go?
So what I'm doing primarily right now is I am trying to share as much information through any social media platform, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. I want to share as much information as I possibly can about how to efficiently and effectively train or diet or have a quality mindset that will allow someone to lose weight. I'm trying to transform people from extremely overweight or obese to someone who is living a healthy, longevity driven life. That's kind of it.
Yeah. And so, are you training people? Are you taking clients too?
I am, yeah. Everything online though, nothing in person.
Nothing in person. Nice, dude. That's awesome. So, if someone wanted to follow you, where are they going?
So YouTube, Instagram, Facebook is all at the weight loss professor. TikTok is just weight loss professor.
Was there already someone that was the weight loss professor?
I think it was too many characters. I think that's what it was.
There's always some
There's something.
arbitrary measure, you know? All right, at the weight loss professor or weight loss professor, they're going to find you. When you're putting out this content, do you look at the feedback from people? Or are you like, I'm gung ho on this, and do you put the blinders on?
Two things. I like that question. So first off, I do just want to mention I have a website, www.TheWeightLossProfessor.com. Check it out. But so in terms
Love
of
it.
social media posts, what I do is I do both because I want the feedback because people are wrong on their feedback. I'm not going to allow that to dictate how I make the content. But I've
Mhm.
made posts about why you should be eating vegetables and fruits because of how caloric dense they are and they fill up your stomach. And I've had people comment like, dude, I'm on keto. I can't eat vegetables. And I then would have to make a video on that and helping that person explain why you can eat vegetables on keto. Because if you don't, if you're unable to eat vegetables on keto, then you can't eat any type of carb. And if you can't eat any type of carb, period, that is extremely unhealthy. And I love keto. I
Yeah,
eat minimal carbs. I don't eat carbs. Vegetables are my carb. So like I know, like, hey bro, like I'm on keto with you. Let's dial in some vegetables that you can eat to stay healthy.
that's awesome. And so you really are like engaging in these conversations. I mean, that's basically like when I ask you if you're taking clients, that's kind of what you're doing through the comments, through making other videos. That's what that is.
For sure. And that's kind of that, dude. That's my main objective here. I want to teach people the rights and wrongs because I myself had to, fight through that. And it's just a waste of time. I don't want to see someone waste
Heck
months
yeah.
of their time trying to figure out a diet when they could have just added some broccoli to their diet and still be in ketosis.
That's what's so cool about this because people who are out there trying to do it and can't do it are still trying to do it. That's what
Yeah,
like that is the difference between someone who's not trying at all and someone who is. It's like they want to get there. Someone who's not trying, it's like you kind of wonder if they're trying to get there, if they want to get there, whatever. But someone who's trying and has the wrong information, like how are you supposed to fault them? And so you're here, you're clearing the air, you're saying, follow me, I got you.
for sure.
That's beautiful. As we look forward to your growth in this kind of way, I want to, something I want to focus on just in general, because we haven't really talked about the end game, right? So you're doing this now, but I like more emotionally, I guess, and all the way around. How do you feel? Do you feel more confident? Do you feel like talk about it that way too? Because obviously we know physically you're growing and you're growing a business. So like socially and economically or whatever you want to say, that's all growing. But how do you feel as a person and mentally and just all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
I worded
So
that horribly, but you know what I'm saying.
yeah. No, you worded it great. So confidence
Thanks.
wise, um, dude, tremendous, crazy 180. Like I'm not gonna say I was the shy kid because I was still the outgoing fat guy. Everyone kind of knew the fat round Vago who looked like a strawberry in the halls wearing a bandana. I was kind of like a
A
known
little Seth
kid.
Rogen or a little Jonah Hill, maybe.
Jonah Hill. I got both
That's
of
it.
those, but
Yeah.
Jonah Hill all the time. Do I
Jonah
still
Hill
look
for
like
sure.
Jonah Hill? I still say people still tell me I look like Jonah Hill.
Well, Jonah Hill kind of had a 182, so I
Yeah.
mean, I guess maybe a little bit, but that's not. I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yo, you don't understand how many times I got called Jonah Hill. That is hilarious that you say that.
Yeah,
That's
I
crazy.
believe it. Like that. That's great. Like that boisterous personality, humorous, heavy. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, so confidence, crazy 180. Dude, just walking anywhere in public, I'm strutting, not like I'm that guy, I'm the dude. It's just, I'm
Yeah,
strutting because I love myself. I work hard. Like I know what I'm doing. You start getting
yeah.
people that stop you and say, "Hey, nice outfit. You look cool, nice stuff. Hey, do you work out at all?" And it's like, yeah, I don't tell anyone that like, hey, I lost weight. Like even in the gym right now, I don't tell anyone that I lost weight because that's not what I'm
Nice.
about. I want to hear your story. I want to hear why are you in the gym? Why are you pushing yourself? I'm just here to look better. Okay. Because I don't have a weight loss story anymore. I have different goals in set. I have different goals in mind.
Yeah, right. You've got the muscle base. You have the muscle base. You lost the weight. Like now, it's just aesthetic. It's routine. It's your happy place, as you mentioned.
Now it's like a bodybuilding future, but we'll go into that in a little bit. Dude, mental health, complete 180. Um, just in terms of doing anything in life, whether it's, making your bed, putting the weights back in the gym, cleaning your dishes, cleaning your energy drink cans out of your room, or
That's
making
right.
a pyramid of them.
Yeah, you got the
But
graveyard there.
it's the little things. It's going out of your way to do the little things because you know or you have faith in delayed gratification. If I make my bed every day, there's going to be something internally that's going to make me stronger because I do that. Mowing the lawn every 2 weeks, cleaning cleaning the carpet, doing the small things like that, I believe are the biggest way to achieve any type of success in life. Because without those small things, how are you going to be able to do the big things repeatedly?
Hmm.
You're not going to be
Hmm.
able to.
So it's the pattern, right? It's the habit. It's creating the habit. It's knowing that by doing the small building blocks, the whole tower gets built. Honestly, I think that's the hardest part because I think it's easier to look at a lofty goal and say, you know what, I'm shooting for that. I'm shooting for the moon. I'm shooting for the stars without, filling the tank first and maybe doing what you need to do to be ready for the journey. And that to me is the small stuff. Like sometimes I personally, like I'm a guy that sometimes I need to be more methodical. That's something that I need to do. And that to me is like the building blocks. It's climbing the ladder. It's forming the foundation, right? You could do a lot of things well, but without having the bases done and accounted for, then you have a rocky foundation. And that's to me, when you say these things, I can't help but think of this tower. I don't know why.
I love that analogy. I might have to take that.
All yours. You said it basically. I just worded it a little differently and was agreeing with you. So what I was hoping that you could truthfully say was that in addition to physically being fit, in addition to having lost weight, mentally you were in a far better spot. That socially you were feeling your peak, that you were having friends that you could have fulfilling relationships with your family, that things were thriving. I was hoping that, which you are testifying to, everything else kind of fell into place when you started to get those things in order, which again, I guess maybe are the small things, but it's the fullest fulfillment of who you can be. And it starts by focusing on an area maybe that needed the most need. And then the rest of it kind of trickles into place because then you can start hammering those things out too without a major impediment in the way.
So let me add on to fulfillment and how kind of my meter of fulfillment changed throughout this process.
Yeah.
Like I've talked about before a few minutes ago, where I was talking about now I'm the bigger brother to some of these younger kids and helping
Yeah.
guide them on their fitness journey. That completely switched me. I was never, when I was big, I could care less about what was happening to the guy next to me, whether or not they were succeeding. Now I'm the dude. My best friends are 15-year-olds from the gym. I'm going out to eat with 15-year-olds, late at night. Like that's I'm
Yeah.
just a big brother figure now to some of these kids.
That's
In the
incredible.
gym, yeah, out of the gym, it doesn't even matter. If I'm at the bar, now I'm talking to some dude, I'm dapping a dude up. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Or, it's anywhere in
Mm-hmm.
life, I'm more sociable. Like I'm more just able to freely talk to anyone that I don't know. I don't care about anyone's opinion. That's a big topic. I've
That is.
fully killed the idea of caring about anyone's opinions.
Because you turned everyone's opinions inside out and throw them right back at them by literally changing your life.
And that's another bad issue of being so obese. You actually stop caring about other people's opinions. Like I could care less about whether or not someone thought I was fat, because that's another thing about this. I'd like to say why it's a disorder, because
Yeah.
you don't care. Like you're so bad in a deep hole that you can't even recognize it, and you don't care if someone else tells you you're in it.
It seems like it's such a defense mechanism because if you're just like, screw it, then then it doesn't even matter because it's just like you've accepted it, you're accepting it, everyone else has accepted it, so it's like who cares? Like it's done.
Yeah, it's like denial. One of the big.
Yeah. While we're talking mental health too, and you mentioned that it's an addiction, I think something in the fitness industry that is gaining traction is this notion of turning down alcohol, saying that you are done with alcohol from a glass of wine to 14 beers. You've posted content of previous Zach Vago hammer in the drinks, man. Like I'm talking fast shotgun, like you could give Luke Holmes a run for his money kind of shotgun. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, everyone go check that out because that's fascinating too. Luke Holmes is a good dude. What now is your view on alcohol and maybe the consumption of it for yourself or maybe socially? Like, what do you think? How do you think that you hope it alters socially?
Um, so me myself, I quit drinking about 7 months ago. Part of it was for a fitness oriented reason,
Yeah.
but what I did before that, before I completely cold turkeyed it, was I would only drink socially. So, if it was a party, if it was a special occasion, sure, I'd drink.
Mhm.
But I think it all tailors towards someone's goals. If they're looking to lose weight, then they need to be thinking about cutting out alcohol or thinking about how often they're actually drinking it, because it does affect your body. It completely kills protein synthesis. You will not gain muscle. I don't care how you try to word it, how to phrase it. I was drinking while I was losing weight. I was able to, but it's not effective for putting on muscle and losing weight. But as in a mental health state, it's not healthy that your body can take in something and now react in a way that you wouldn't have otherwise. So obviously, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know about you, Joe, but me when I was drunk, I mean, I'm the fat guy that's screaming, I'm making friends with everybody. I'm as social as possible. That wasn't the normal Zach Vago. He was fat. So I don't think that is healthy in a mental state of mind type of way.
Fair, totally fair. The fact that it alters your brain is evidence enough that it is something that it's going to toy with you a little bit. And okay, so we were talking calories a little bit earlier, right? Like if you have 10 beers, that's 1,000 calories. Like that is a lot of extra calories that you really don't need. So you're a no cheat day kind of guy. I know, again, I'm just sharing this because I do your content and I take it in. So you're a no cheat day kind of guy. To me, like when you talk about these social events, like, oh, I'm only going to drink when whatever at a graduation for a special reason, whatever the case may be. It sounds like a cheat day. It kind of has the same feel to a cheat day. So I see maybe the consistency in what you're saying by saying, I don't drink at all and I'm not a cheat day guy. Base level, why no cheat days?
All right, so here's the thing. I don't believe in calories in, calories out when it comes to being healthy. There's more than
Love
just
it.
140 calories in a beer. There are ingredients
Okay.
in that beer that's literally killing protein synthesis from occurring. It's killing the way that your body tries to lose weight. So here's the thing. If alcohol can do that to your body, then what does something like sugar or processed foods do to your body?
Mm-hmm.
People just think about the calories. People don't think of, okay, how does this affect me physically and mentally? Not only am I being addicted to this food and it's not satiating my body. You can eat, let's compare a beer to 2 servings of berries. What's going to be more satiating is the 2 servings of berries because it's unprocessed. When you start drinking all this processed garbage, your body actually craves more of it. That's why I could sit down myself and when I would binge eat, I could eat 10,000 calories in 20 minutes because it's all processed
Wow.
garbage. Yeah,
Yeah.
the whole binge eating is a whole nother topic. People don't understand how crazy binge eating is. But yeah, cheat meals, cheat anything, drinking alcohol, it's all cheating your mind into going into a loser state and it's negatively impacting everything.
That's cool. That's so cool because, and not in a good way, but like it's so cool because I was thinking of when you were talking about this. The first thing when you said calories in, calories out, I thought of a McDonald's burger. Like those things probably 1,000. I'm just guessing. I have no idea, but they have to have like thousands of calories because God knows what the heck is in them. The ingredient list is longer than the Bible, and that has to mess with you because our bodies are meant like we just ate meat and like stuff that like you said like berries and stuff that was in the wild. Like you have to like thinking way back. You know what I mean? There was no like McDonald's fake cheese that lasts for 400 years. Like it
Right.
was literally berries and meat that you got from a random animal and I don't know, leaves and other stuff that you would eat. And that was very
Whole
simple.
Foods, we call it Whole Foods,
Yeah.
Joe.
There, thank you. Thank you, Zach. Whole Foods. Like, come on. I don't know. I think you're spot on when you think about that stuff. And this is a guy that I haven't studied this. I'm just trying to think logically here with you. And 300 ingredients in a McDonald's burger. I think their fries have like 14 ingredients. That I think is a fact. They have like 14 ingredients in a French fry. It should be the fry. It should be so the potato. It should be the salt and like I don't know what else you need in the fry. Whatever makes it crispy. The oven.
Some
I don't
oil.
know. Some oil. Yeah,
But
oil.
yeah, great point about the number of ingredients. Yeah, that is a perfect thing to look at when you're trying to lose weight or just be healthy in general. You got to look at how many ingredients. If there's 35 ingredients in whatever you're eating, that's horrible. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's you're asking for disaster. It's just so many more things that can mess with you too. Like we all find our things. Like I love melons. I'm not a berry guy, but like so my point is imagine like if you are eating these things and then you're like, oh, it's not like I don't feel well, like I'm not reacting, my body's not taking in this stuff well. It's like, well, good luck trying to figure out what part of it was messing with you, because you have 30 ingredients in this thing and then 30 ingredients in the thing you had after. And then you had a pop that has 400 ingredients. And now you're trying to figure out what doesn't sit well with you. Like, good luck.
And that's another thing that's plaguing our society. Everyone feels like garbage. Everyone's sick, and everyone's just
Mm-hmm.
eating fast food every meal of the day. Every office job, every employee is door dashing 2, 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, a snack before they leave at 5 p.m. It's horrible. It's crazy.
It is crazy. I cannot believe the amount of pop that's still drank, because I thought everyone knew that pop is like, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
and
pop here and there. People are gonna do what they're gonna do, but God, that stuff's bad.
people don't even try to like switch to carbonated waters, or any type of healthier carbonated drink.
So what do you drink caffeine?
I
You got those
do. I
bangs behind you.
I love caffeine. Yeah.
All right. So how do you defend like those bangs? Those have to. I mean, if you show me that ingredient list, I bet it's longer than five things.
So here's the thing. Let me 100%. Yeah, so there's a lot of ingredients in caffeine type drinks that help with, specifically these pre-workout energy type drinks. They help with oxygen flow. They open up, they're called vasodilators, and that's kind of what a whole pre-workout is built around. It's kind of giving you more energy during a workout. That's kind of
All
what a
right.
lot of these are. They're not super unhealthy. I would defend them in the case that caffeine is good for a body when in a fasted state. I fast a lot and I drink caffeine. I supplement caffeine when I fast. This is how I work out. I haven't taken pre-workout in like a year and a half. And without caffeine, I would struggle because obviously I don't sleep as much as I should. Okay. So I need caffeine. But yeah, I'm all for diet drinks. There's a lot of studies. You can find a study on how water is going to kill you early in life. And that's kind of how I believe these diet drinks are. The aspartame, I don't know, whatever other artificial sugar. They find these little small case studies where something small is affected by the aspartame. And I don't think it's kind of in the whole grand scheme of things where if you were drinking it for 40, 50 years, I don't think it's going to affect. You know, we've seen studies where people who do drink it daily, multiple times for 40 years have not had heart risks, things like that. So I am a fan of diet drinks.
Got it. Interesting. Because there is that wave, right? Like that sugar that you're saying. I always thought it was aspartame, but aspartame.
I
I don't
think
know, 6 to 1, half dozen to another, I
I,
guess. But that is
yeah,
it.
I don't know. I don't know.
That processed sugar is often, I thought, linked supposedly. Again, I'm not confirming or denying, to mental forgetfulness, like dementia. I thought so. I hear you where you're saying like, well, there's both ends of it, and I don't know. It's one of those things, right? It's a tough coin to flip.
And
Are you a
that's
coffee guy?
where I am a coffee guy. I love coffee.
So are
Yes.
you banging out a couple cups of coffee and then having a bang and then working out and not eating anything? Because that sounds like I would be shaking.
Um, yes, shaking because of the amount of caffeine, or shaking why?
Both shaking from not having any food and then having caffeine, and I would be very much so shaky.
So I think once your body gets used to surviving in a fasted state, you kind of don't feel those effects anymore.
Okay.
In terms of a normal human being, you probably have enough body fat on your frame to be able to fast and function okay. Because if we think about our ancestors, they weren't eating like we talked about a Big Mac every 3 hours of the day. So there was some sort of having to fight to survive, having to let our body burn what we already have to thrive.
And why do you think that's beneficial, Zach, Mr. Weight Loss Professor?
Well, if you have an excess amount of body fat, you need to burn that body fat. And the only way to be able to do that is to have your own body burn that body fat, by which I believe is the
Okay.
most beneficial way is to cut out your carbs, go on a keto-like diet. I don't really consider myself full keto, but I do believe in a low fat, low carb diet.
So I'm a guy who, I sound like Chris Collinsworth. Now here's a guy. So I'm a guy who is a big meat, potato, veggie kind of guy. Meat, pasta, veggie. Like I am like, all right, I feel good. Like I've got energy. I'm ready to go. I'm a water dude. Like I just have water. I have that. I'm chilling. To play devil's advocate a little bit. So how would you recommend for someone like me? So all right, so what's your filler for that pasta, right? Like I'm talking like chickens and pasta, throw some veggies in there, maybe have a salad with it too. We're looking all right.
Okay, so in terms of substitutes, healthy substitutes, you can find a healthy version of anything you crave. So pasta, let's tackle pasta. There are noodles that are made from plants that are 45 calories per like a bowl full, like a whole bowl. And they're like 4 carbs, 45
Does it
calories.
keep you full? Will it keep me full?
Yes,
Or do I need like
100%.
14 bowls?
No, it'll keep you full.
Okay.
So here's the thing, it goes back to what satiates the body, what keeps you full. Vegetables literally per calorie take up more space in your body.
Wow.
So yeah, so shirataki noodles is a brand that I use that I would
Oh
recommend
yeah.
for pasta. Have you seen my videos on shirataki or
No,
what?
I actually am
Oh,
familiar
you
with it
know?
though.
Really?
Yeah,
You've
yeah, yeah. We've
not
had
bad,
those here.
right?
Yeah, no, not bad at all.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you
As long
could
as I can have the marinara sauce too, we're good.
you could have all the marinara. So the marinara sauce is actually pretty healthy. I'm not gonna lie. There's sugar in it, but calorie wise, pretty healthy.
It's mostly just tomatoes, isn't it? I mean,
If you look at the ingredient list, there is a lot of sugar and oils and stuff, but yeah, kind of for the most part.
all right. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. But what potatoes are extremely healthy. Um, what other food sources, yeah, want to play devil's advocate on?
Really, like those are my favorite. Like I'm a big pasta guy. Love pasta. I eat a lot of everything. I am not a large guy, but I actually eat a ton. So a lot of meat. You a red meat guy?
I do love red meat, but I don't eat it a ton just because of its caloric density.
Okay. And then what do you do to compensate for like the iron and some of that stuff? Because I feel like that's another thing. I think that people are very anti red meat, which is fine. Do your thing. But I think people also are very iron deficient in our society. Like they act iron deficient. And they're like, oh, I got this tiredness all the time and this lethargy that just seems to plague the entire society. I'm like, well, do any of you have iron deficiencies? It's like,
And it's crazy because most people have more than just an iron deficiency. It's water. Everyone's dehydrated. Like majority of human beings are dehydrated. It's crazy. But
wow,
yeah, it's insane. The statistics are crazy. Like people are struggling to drink like 2 cups of water a day. Like,
really?
yeah, how many, if you had to guess, how are you drinking a gallon at least, or what do you think you're drinking?
Yeah. So I have one of those Yetis, like one of those tall, probably like, I don't know, the pillar tall Yetis. So maybe like, it's like two of these in one. And I'd probably say I have like probably three at work of those. And then maybe three at night. And if
Okay.
I don't know, I think those are what, 24 ounces maybe. So call it, I don't know, call it 125 ish,
That's just about a gallon. That's
125 to 150 of those.
yeah, probably more than a little bit of a gallon. I'm drinking 3 to 4 gallons a day in retrospect.
Holy,
Yeah. And you can find studies that claim that's horrible for you. Tom Brady, I thought, does like 6 gallons a day. It
does he
all
really?
depends. Yeah, it's Tom Brady, like skinny little Tom Brady. It
He's
depends.
a vegan too.
Everyone's is he really?
Really intense. Yeah, real intense vegan.
No way.
Yeah. There you go. There's your fun reading for tonight.
So let's bring up Tom Brady, lack of meat, period. Probably supplements a load of vitamins, and that's what I do. I take a load of vitamins because I know I'm going to be deficient since I'm not having a huge variety of different foods in my diet.
Okay. Okay. And to go back to like the primitive things that we were talking about, like way back when we were hunting and gathering, there had to be a lot of red meat. So is it the way that it's processed now that maybe deters you, or is it strictly calorie? Is it like why is the you called it the caloric density,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Why is that bad?
So my goals are to be the biggest in terms of muscle and the leanest in terms of body fat. And red meat doesn't support that just because of how many more calories there are. I'd rather eat more
Okay.
chicken, get more protein, less fat grams. So I could trade fat for more protein, and that's kind of ideally what I want. Those are my goals. That's why I do.
That's got to protect your, like, you're not clogging arteries that way, right? Like that seems like that's a overall pretty much a healthy way to go.
Yeah, yeah, but I do believe in red meat. It's not like I'm super against it. I think people should be eating red.
Awesome. No, I'm so on board with that. To totally just switch you here, because we just went down like the eat this, not that. Like that was eat this, not that, live with Zach Vago and Joe Clark on Chad from Clark episode 39. I mean, that was freaking awesome. I could do this with you all night. But for the sake of the podcast sake, you mentioned it earlier, and I'm super curious, in everyone's journey, what role does faith play in your life?
All right, so in terms of faith, are you asking specifically about faith in a certain task, or are you talking about faith as in religion?
That's awesome. I think it's a great distinction. I, in my head, was envisioning like strength in a higher being, faith in a higher being. But I think faith in yourself kind of comes from that, because otherwise I think it's like narcissism. Well, not to get on a tangent, but I think like you lose the narcissistic aspect when you have faith in a higher being more often than not. And if you don't have faith in a higher being, a lot of times I think there's an innate narcissism because you're the center of the world. So I guess, yes, both.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, yeah, I can roll with that. So I grew up in a Christian household, right? I was kind of, unfortunately, I would consider myself like a basic, lukewarm type of Christian growing up. And I think through this process, as I went up along my journey, I have strengthened my religious bond. Like, um, it's crazy how much I've grown in my faith in the last 2 years. And this is the 2 years that I've started losing weight. Because what happens when you start doing stuff that prioritizes, for me, I would say the type of man that I could become in
Yeah.
the kingdom of God, it's what's going to better me as a man. And for that reason, it's things like maybe cutting out alcohol, cutting out partying, being stupid on every weekend, feeling like garbage. That's kind of my viewpoint on alcohol in terms of the faith stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start doing stuff like that, you're going to see the haters. And if you are a believer, you believe that there's a target on your back at all times. I was actually baptized last night, actually.
You were?
Yeah, last night.
Congrats. What?
Thank you. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so the last 2 years is kind of what prompted me up to being baptized, because I have actually practiced my faith publicly. So when it comes to drinking, I was being made fun of for parties. Why are you even here? Just have a drink. Oh, he's on a diet, blah, blah, blah. You get made fun of so many different things. And instead of, well, it's going to better my goals, now it's for God. Now it's for something else. Like you said, it's for a bigger reason than myself. And that's where
Mm-hmm.
you find pride in being able to do something that's not for the greater good of yourself, but for the greater good of something so unimaginably greater than like anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think the hate that I've got from the darkness, the demon, uh, really grew in my faith, and that allowed me to kind of keep the course, stay dedicated, and it gives you something to lean on. I don't think as humans we should really go to each other late at night, cry to each other when we're at our weakest moments. I think we need to pray,
Yeah.
talk to God, and that's where I found my peace and happiness. So faith in terms of religion, incredible. I think I've personally actually helped people who are atheists lose weight, and it's a complete mindset change. I'll use, for an example, Trent. I don't know if I should use his name or not. He's one of my testimonials on my website. It's not believe
Hey.
in God, but he even said in his testimonial, after working with me, his mentality of life just 180 changed. Like it's not,
Wow.
yeah, it wasn't even necessarily believing in God, but it's a mindset thing. And that's what I take pride in.
Mm-hmm.
One of the jobs that I do for people, I am a mindset coach. Let's take what's the positive out of this negative? Something horrible happened here, but what's the positive out of it? What have you learned from this? What are you able to get from being knocked back down, and how are you going to step back up greater than where you were before? Like it's complete
Yeah, yeah.
mindset change. I would consider it faith. Someone like Trent would probably not consider it faith, as I don't put God or Jesus maybe behind it, because I don't push that right away. Because if I start throwing that down their throat, now it's a bad vibe. I
I got you.
slowly
Yeah.
work it in. Uh, but yeah, even if you're not a believer, I think just the mindset change of positivity and stuff like that really helps someone on any type of journey.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, you have to be able to do some of the things that faith does and find that result. And if you aren't going to use faith as the what we would maybe argue is the most direct path, like you got to find some other loop-de-loop path to get there, because that mindset shift and that switch is innate to any progress. And you are a testimony to that. And anyone who has done something that was against what they had previously held as habit, as status quo, can attest to that again. You have to shift your mindset in order to have progress. Otherwise, you just remain equilibrious.
And I love being able to see that firsthand with friends of mine who, were suicidal, dislike God, who kind of actually make fun of people who like God, and admit to being mindset changed in how they perceive reality from someone who is a Christian. I love
Heck
that.
yeah. Heck yeah. It's like you are evangelizing, it's like the Paul to
Yeah.
Saul thing, or Saul to Paul. Yeah, Saul to Paul thing. Like that. That's what it is. You are testimony to that by going out and doing the good deed. I'm entranced with this notion of like you touched on, getting better for such a higher thing, because I think that you desiring to be the best man that you can be means that you have to do the hard things, and that you can't skimp out on the things that are difficult. Like, to use Jesus as the example, that prayer that he prays in the Garden of Gethsemane before he's about to get freaking crucified, of all things, is like, Lord, like if we could do this some other way, that'd be rocking, because this is about to stink. But then he says the best lines out there, and it talks about how he's like, it's not my will, but your will be done. And if this is the way, then this is the way. And so for us, for you, for me, for everyone out there, it's like, well, when we're dealt the tough battle, it's like, God, if we could do this another way, that'd be great. And if we can, if I need the lesson that whatever this battle is about to teach me, then all right, as I said earlier, buckle up, because it's about to get real. And you got to face it with that perspective of like, you know what, I'm going to come out of this stronger. I'm going to come out of this better.
So I'm just going to add this, and this is,
Yeah.
a lot of people might not resonate with this, but so what I do on the way, whenever I'm driving, I listen to worship music. So that's what I do.
Okay.
I'm getting goosebumps. I'm jamming to worship music on the way to the gym, on the way out of gym. Maybe it's a tough day at the gym. So the gym, going back to, it's my safe spot. It's where I just dive into worship music, to maybe sermons that I want to listen to, and just kind of that's one of the places that I love talking with, Jesus, God, the Holy Spirit. That's one of my special places to
Yeah.
get in faith. And just to sometimes be in the gym and have a horrible day, not want to be there, feel horrible, you just want to cry, and you're on the leg press, the hack squat, and you feel a sense of the Holy Spirit in you, and you just have God on your mind. Like it's so beautiful. I get goosebumps. Like I get goosebumps a lot just sitting there listening to worship music,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
Man, yeah,
one of
you
the
can't beat
encouragement.
it. Right. Right. No, I get that. I'm with you, because those are telling you the meaning, and like those are telling you like some of the best stories that you can hear, and like talking about things that actually matter, as opposed to just like a sound that sounds good.
Yeah, yeah.
So, as we kind of gear towards the end of this episode, Zach, Mr. Weight Loss Professor, the Weight Loss Professor, I have a couple litany of questions that I use, because I think that they really do highlight some of the mindsets that make you who you are and why you do what you do. And I think that they're important. And the first one that I have for you is, do you have any regrets in your life? And this, as I'm saying this to you, I must say that this feels a little more loaded of a question than perhaps it has felt when I've asked other people, for, I dare say, obvious reasons, but for the journey that you have just disclosed to all of us. But nonetheless, Do you have any regrets in your life?
The flesh in me would say that I do have regrets and would say that I wish I would have grown up healthy, fit, but the man that God put before everyone here today and what Jesus died for, I have zero regrets. I'm glad that I grew up obese. I'm glad I had to fight those battles because I truly think one of the reasons I had to do all that was to be able to help other people.
Yeah, no, I kind of assumed you were going to say that just because what we've talked about. You know firsthand what many people who you work with might be going through. And it takes that sometimes to really be able to resonate with other people. So when you're trying to influence people to better themselves, like you have that as one of your aiding factors. It's like, I did it. Like I was you. Like, no, yeah, you're you and you have different battles, but like I'm different battles. And we had some similarities in those battles. And that's really powerful.
Let me add something to that. So
Yeah.
think about a therapist or think about someone who deals with recovering addicts of anything. Would you want someone who just went to school on that topic to help people out of that, or would you want someone who was once in their position and how they were able to overcome it?
I love it. Right. Every basketball coach that is the best was once a player, more often than not. Right. Like it's just all of that. I mean, there's a reason that like Steph Curry knows how to shoot. I mean, Dell might know a thing or two, like there's
Yeah.
things like that matter. Similarly, Zach, what role does gratitude play in your life? My contention is very simple with this. I just contend that people who live gratefully and focus on gratitude in their lives are happier. Like to say it exactly like it is, if you are grateful, you have a happier life than someone who does not actively participate in gratitude.
100%. It's like the positive. You got to always be positive mindset that I was talking about before. Like no matter what happens in life, just be happy for what you have. What I like to preach is be grateful for seeing people with addictions and be grateful for yourself, like what you've been able to be blessed and not have in comparison to where they were dealt the same cards maybe, but they weren't able to overcome said addiction. Got to be grateful
Yeah,
for the fact that you aren't in their position. So yeah, gratitude, being grateful for every single thing in life. I love that.
that's awesome. How do you practice it? How do you actively be grateful for every little thing in your life?
I would say doing things in life that don't give you immediate results is one of the best ways to grow a gratitude type of mindset. I
Okay.
love delayed gratification. So whether it's, being in the gym, working out every day and not seeing different results, you got to just be thankful for the fact that you're in the gym and results will come down the line. Like faith, you might be praying, you might be doing your scripture reading, but you might not see something happen every second of every day.
Mhm.
So delayed gratification, anything that you can be doing in life where you don't see immediate results, that is how I love grow in my gratitude perception of life.
I love it. It builds character. It takes away the juvenile innate response to where it's like you want things fast. Like when you have a short attention span and when you are like a child, children have very short attention spans. Children want things handed to them right away because you can't think like that. As long as we eliminate that and we grow from that as people, we're developing. I'm all on board with that. Zach, you are clearly wise. You have clearly had a plethora of experiences that a lot of individuals don't have, but also a lot of people who may end up listening to this have. And above all else, I think you've shown to all of us through your stories and through your testimonies here that the mindsets that we have towards things change. The mindsets that we have are what cause us to do what we do. So if we can alter those in conjunction with what we want to do, where we want to go, then we can have beautiful results like you. Do you have any advice to someone who specifically is going through something, who is trying to lose weight, who's trying to be healthy? Or do you have advice to anyone abroad? And you can do this twice, or you have just tailor it to an audience that you want. But do you have any advice or any closing thoughts that you want to share?
So no matter what you are trying to better yourself in life, It doesn't matter what aspect or what career or what anything going on, whether what addiction, anything. I think you need to surround yourself with the right energy, with the right type of people around you. Maybe you aren't a faith, religious driven person. That's fine. I hope follow that path down the road. But the point is, you need to have people behind you that truly care. And sometimes you need to weed out those bad apples that are kind of bringing you down with you. And it might be sad to say, I've lost friends that
That's
I've known
awesome,
for
Zach.
18 years. You got to be willing to do it when they're bringing you down with you.
That's awesome. So awesome. I think it's relatable because we all have those people. We've all had those people where it's like, unfortunately, the time's up. This has got to go. This has got to go. And it takes some courage to do that, to move in the direction that you're going, where you want your ship to go.
That and be humble. No matter what you do in life, don't flaunt anything. Be grateful. The results will speak for themselves. Don't start throwing up a piece of paper with your results everywhere you go. Let the results show for themselves. Can I bring up a story real quick, Joe?
Yeah, of course, please.
So just a final story to try to get everyone a little bit emotional. My grandfather had stage 4 lung cancer, quite a long
Mm.
time. He lived longer than he should have. And at this point, I was working in Marblehead, losing weight. This was during my weight loss journey. And I wasn't by our hometown. I was an hour and a half away, 2 hours away. And he was on his deathbed. He hasn't seen me since I started losing weight. So the last Zach Vago he saw was 350 pounds. When I came back before he shortly died after seeing me, it's almost, I believe, there's a purpose on why he passed shortly after seeing me, my belief. But the point is, when I walked over to him, he just sat there and started crying. You're missing half of you. Where is the other half of Zach Vago? And never in my journey was I going to think about walking up to my grandfather and seeing his response. Those are the small things that you get for working so hard in life. To have people close to you, maybe people you don't even know, to be so proud of you. So all I have to say is if you have no one that's proud of you right now, just know down the road you're going to meet strangers that are going to be so proud of you. And whatever you're going through, I'm proud of you for even just trying and fighting through whatever it is.
Man, Zach, what a closing story. That's amazing. And prayers for your grandfather. He's looking down with a big smile on his face, and the other half of Zach Bagel that's up there with him. And um, just an utter appreciation for you. And that's beautiful because you are living testimony to him. And the great man that you are is a great testimony and a shout out to him because he was obviously so elated and so at peace knowing that you were doing everything that you could to carry on the gift of Zach Vago and to carry it on in the best ways possible.
That's crazy. I'm going to start crying.
No, yeah, I mean it's testimony to him and testimony to you. So that's beautiful. It's a powerful one, Zach. That's one of the more raw stories I think I've ever heard, period, but especially on the Chats with Clark pod. So I really appreciate you and your willingness to come on in general, but also to just open your heart to me and to whomever may hear this, because this is stellar.
Thank you,
You got some
guys.
stellar
Really
stuff going
appreciate
on.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we wind down here to hit a couple logistical things, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, you're waiting too long. You're about 39 episodes too late, but never too late. So hit that subscribe button and follow along. Chats with Clark is full of wonderful people, and Chats with Clark is full of wonderful stories. But I'm your host, the only consistent part, aside from the wonderful aspects of it, Joe Clark. Zach, thank you again for being here on episode 39. You share great wisdom and you share really, again, emotional, really powerful, really influential stories. And I think the Holy Spirit's working through you to do great things. The Weight Loss Professor is going to be all over the internet, and I'm excited for that. I'm excited to follow along. And with that, to the audience, check out the Weight Loss Professor or Weight Loss Professor on TikTok, but the Weight Loss Professor everywhere else, and head to the weightlossprofessor.com, www.weightlossprofessor.com, and check out all that Zach has going on. I will link it in the description below if you're listening on the pod. And as YouTube still hates me, I will put it in a pinned comment on YouTube if you are watching this video. Hit that subscribe button. I'm your host, Joe Clark. Zach, thank you again for being here. This has been episode 39. And again, we are signing off. Thanks for listening.